an eye for an eye ends up making the whole world blind. To start, an eye for an eye reflects what the death penalty is, a life for a life. Before talking further about it, let us look at its history. The first established death penalty laws date as far back as the 18th century BC in the court of King Hammurabi of Babylon, which codified the death penalty for 25 different crimes. Back then, death sentences were carried out by such means as drowning, beating to death, and burning alive. Today, it is carried out by means such as hanging, gassing, electrocuting, and shooting. Some countries that still retain death penalty are China, United States, Malaysia, Japan, and Iran. There are a lot of other countries that do as well. Now, the real question is, why does it still exist and why some people agree with it? The first reason is it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. If you take something from others, they may take something from you as well. In this case, it's life being taken. Second, death penalty is permanent and its result is immediate. Other forms of punishment such as rehabilitation only works for criminals who are truly repentant.
Even though death penalty has been used in some countries around the world, it is not really an effective deterrent. In 1988, a survey was conducted for the United Nations to determine the relation between the death penalty and homicide rates. The study shows there has not been a credible statistical evidence that proves capital punishment reduces the rate of murder. Besides, according to a study from the Death Penalty Information Center, states in the USA without the death penalty have consistently lower murder rate than the rate in states with the death penalty. Without any doubt, death penalty does not discourage crime effectively, and life without parole might be a better alternative to death penalty. Death penalty puts innocent lives at stake. Over the past few decades, many innocent people have been falsely sentenced to death. According to Amnesty International, since 1973, more than 160 prisoners in the USA have been released from death rows on grounds of innocence. Human makes mistakes and the risk of sentencing innocent people can never be eliminated. This is because corruption still exists in our justice system, while bias and discrimination still occur in our society. However, families of innocent people should not be made to suffer from the shortcoming of death penalty.
Another issue with the death penalty is that it is unethical. All human life is invaluable, and it isn't right to deprive someone else of their right to live. If society agrees to a death penalty, then we aren't any better than murderers, as this is basically revenge. All acts of execution are unethical, and some acts are inhumane as they cause a great amount of suffering. Finally, death penalties create a huge financial burden for many people, as it is much more expensive to sentence someone to death than it is to sentence them to life in prison. Studies from Duke University revealed staggering statistics about death penalty in the United States. On average, North Carolina spends approximately $2.1 million more for a death penalty compared to that of a life without parole, while in Oklahoma, death penalty cases cost 3.2 times more than the average non-capital case. Similarly, a study by the Los Angeles Law Review has shown that in California, changing remaining sentences from death row to life without parole would immediately save $170 million per year. Similar statistics involving death penalties are present throughout the United States. When compounded by the other issues present, death penalties are ultimately a giant sinkhole for a government's resources.
Human life is precious, yet society does not hesitate to cast it aside into a system that is mediocre at best, without remorse. Capital punishment does not deter crime, cannot ensure the safety of the innocent, and is morally deficient. There are other alternatives. Murderers and violent offenders deserve to be punished for their crimes, and victims and their families deserve justice. However, the death penalty is not the answer. As a nation, we are responsible for maintaining justice. Throwing lives away in a practice that is flawed because some governments and politicians are too indolent to seek other alternatives. Justice for victims their families, and the innocent will not be obtained until the death penalty is eliminated. So, join us fight against the death penalty. Help us protecting the human right.